More than just coincidence. You look around and see the earth, the moon, the sun, and the sky, a beautiful creation of Allah. So how could you deny?
How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our show, The Philosophy of the Islamic Law. And as usual, I would like to welcome Professor Muhammad Saie, the Professor of the Islamic Law in several universities in America. Thank you for being with us.
Welcome, inshallah.
Professor Muhammad, we mentioned during this series of episodes about the rules, how to act, the acts of worshipping toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how to deal with others. And the rights of Allah and the rights of people. Is it possible for the ruler of the state, of the country, president or a king, to maintain or to protect this Islamic law, or is it a must on him to emphasize it or to force it on people, or it's okay for him just to maintain it as it is?
No. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وقلبا خاشعا ودعاء مسموعا مقبولا وعملا متقبلا. علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا ما علمتنا وزدنا من لدنك علما برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اجعل أعمالنا كلها خالصة لوجهك الكريم. آمين. اللهم آمين. This is another way of emphasizing about how this Islam is so comprehensive in its rules, in its vision. People are talking about vision and mission, deep thought. It is no wonder this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the Creator. The big difference between Islamic law and one of its very significant distinction and others as a man-made law, that Islam wants all the time to maintain its rules. Sometimes this maintenance comes from the people themselves, as we explained in the other episode about the importance and the wisdom behind having public and access to the Muslims worshipping, and the act of fasting, praying, making pilgrimage. And this is like to maintain these rules, because you are encouraging, you are calling, you are spreading, you are making publicity for good things. But the Muslim ruler does have a role at the same time. Now, combination between your self-conscious and the authority of the government does come together to create this high level of maintenance for this Islamic law. It does come very strongly in the section of worshipping, in the section of, we call it the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When some Muslim, sometimes they feel maybe surprised if any kind of authority the Muslim ruler does have upon their act of worshipping. When they say this is between us and God, Muslim ruler does not have anything to do with it. So he has not placed or been designed, talking about his position, to play a role in this regard. But we say no. Muslim ruler does have a big role in the idea of maintaining the Islamic law, and especially its first section, the section of ruling your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now imagine this. Muslim ruler is having authority to make sure that public act of worshipping in his country, within his nation, is fully practiced, fully applied, and fully protected. He has to make sure that prayer with congregations are practiced, are performed. There's enough mosque for each maybe district or town or village or that street. There's enough imams for these mosques. There's enough khatib speakers for the Friday Jum'ah. It's not just enough imams and enough speakers. It's enough qualified. Now, in our days, we know that in some Muslim countries, they don't have enough. Maybe they have enough mosques, but they don't have enough qualified imams or enough speakers. So Muslim ruler does have these duties. It is upon his responsibilities, upon his shoulder, to make sure that these mosques that have what does require in Islamic law, to make it a very official and very maintained congregation prayer. Muslim rulers have the authority to make sure that Ramadan to be cited by certified very special group, and to declare the first day of Ramadan by a special committee formed by Muslim scholars and assigned by the Muslim ruler himself. Make sure that they are doing their job. They are sighting the moon of Ramadan. When the Ramadan moon is sighted, that has to be a declaration of the beginning of Ramadan. It has to be with the full authority of the Muslim ruler. Ending of Ramadan, the first day of the Eid. Muslims feast in the first day of Shawwal, the Eid al-Adha after the Hajj. All these among the Muslim ruler responsibilities and duties. Muslim has to make sure that charity, they have what they call public charity and secret charity. Wherever the Muslims states have an access to they call it the appearance wealth, Muslim rulers have the authority to collect. And we know that in Islam we have this kind of job for the employee employed by the Muslim ruler to go and collect this charity from the people they have the enough amount of money, and bring it back to the treasury house, Muslims' house, and distribute it again for the Muslims' benefit and need according to the Islamic law. This is Muslim ruler duties and responsibilities. What this kind of authority does make as a difference in the Muslim's life, and difference between them and others, maybe system, was going on or maybe still going on in this earth. As we said, the whole issue maintaining the great mission of the human being on this earth, worshipping God subhanahu wa ta'ala through some act of worshipping, like we said, fasting or praying or paying charity. Because Muslim world does know before anyone else, one of the maybe biggest maybe factor helping him to maintain the whole state, the whole government, the whole nation, make it in the best maybe shape and the best condition, with the full compliance with his rules, and to be in the full compliance with the rules of God subhanahu wa ta'ala. So because he knows that when some of breaking or some kind of shortage of compliance with the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, called Islamic law, that will be affecting on the obedience of the Muslim ruler, will be affecting on his own authorities, will be affecting on the whole issue of bringing this nation to the highest level of the civilization and to be advanced nation. So he has to make sure that all this act of worshiping is being maintained and fully practiced and applied and performed. What is the other effect of this issue? Sometimes we mention it by using this maybe statement. Have you ever heard about mosque for sale?
No.
I mean, generally speaking.
No, in a Muslim country, never.
Even imagine that in Western countries, when Muslims, they are minorities, and they are building their mosque for their needs, they don't have that numbers of mosques they have it in the Muslim countries.
Yes.
But as we said before, that they don't go for selling their mosque, but to build larger mosque.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's like a replacement,
Mm-hmm.
alternative. The only way to sell that mosque, not because you give up on his worshipping, subhanahu wa ta'ala, not because you don't have enough congregation, you don't have enough customers to come and show their compliance with Allah rules, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or maybe you found that it's for maybe better interest for this community to not have a mosque, to have maybe
school or something else.
Maybe a market, maybe mall, maybe something else. We don't have this in Islamic law. We don't have this in Muslim practice. This is coming from the influence, the reflection of the Islamic law on Muslims in general. But we have heard, unfortunately, we don't feel good, to be honest with you, because some Muslims, they take it in a different way. When they see like a sign on the church for sale, some of them, they become very happy. So they said this is a big opportunity for us to purchase it and turn it to masjid.
Yes.
But let us go deeper than that. Are we as Muslims feel happy and feel good when we see that the shrinking of the religious practice on earth, generally speaking, or we feel sad? I mean, do we feel good if we see that Christian, they are not practicing their religion, at least the common values and principles we share with them, or we feel sad about this?
Of course.
We feel sad, right?
Because we lose common ground.
Right?
Yes.
So when you see someone in Western countries like in America or Britain, and you say that he is very good practiced Christian person, that gives you some kind of good feeling, right?
Yes.
Because you are able to be in touch with him. There's some kind of bridges between you and him,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But if you found that person, he's not a practiced Christian, he does not even care about his religion anymore, that does bring some sorrow to you. So that's why we say that one of the influence of or effect of having the Muslim ruler and authority over the act of worshipping toward God is very important to show this kind of beautiful wisdom.
MashaAllah. We will go for a quick break. Please stay with us.
How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar.
Do your part, a slogan often heard but rarely implemented.
We need to make sure that we are from those people who are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase us in knowledge.
Doing our part for Islam needs both knowledge and actions.
You don't have to be able to present the whole of Islam, but at least you have to make sure that what you tell the people is what you know.
How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar.
Professor Muhammad, we were talking about the role of the ruler to maintain the practice of the religion. And you mentioned at the end that we are not happy really when we see that the other faith, like Christians, they are shrinking, that they are leaving. We are not, of course, upset that they are going to Islam, but we are upset if they are shrinking, that they leave the whole faith. They are not Muslims even, because we lose common ground. But I have a question regarding the ruler. You were talking about how the ruler role is to maintain the practice of the religion. But is it one of the role of the ruler to force the act of worshipping? I mean,
Good.
to put it upon people that they have to close, for example, close the stores, that they have to pray, and if they don't pray, they will be punished. Things from this kind of examples.
Oh, right. Very good question. Because you have some misconception about this idea. We have some misbehaved of this idea. Well, what we can say that Muslim ruler has to make sure that in general any public act of worshipping has to be fully preserved, fully practiced, and fully applied. And he has a right to punish those who they are reason behind defecting this public worshipping, or they are behind demolishing it, or making it at the stage of absence. So he has to make something to bring back this public worshipping to its nature. Suppose that the Muslim ruler heard that in that district, in that maybe little town, people are not praying in the mosque anymore. They have a mosque, but they don't apply, they don't practice, they don't perform the prayer in with a congregation, the jama'ah. He has the full authority to order these people that you have to establish this one. At least a group of you to make it a very recognized prayer with the congregation. He has the authority to do that.
He has the authority to force them to do that?
To force them in general. He said that I'm going to give you like just from this time to that time, which is the time of that prayer, to see that this prayer is being practiced in the mosque. If none of them did come out, or numbers of them was enough to make the jama'ah, according to the Islamic definition, he has the right to punish the whole village and town who are able to come and pray with the jama'ah. He will exclude women, he exclude sick people, exclude old people, exclude any excused person from Islamic law point of view. But those that are able to make it, and did not make it, as a whole people, he has the authority to punish these people. Unless he sees some of them are coming out to make the jama'ah. This is like just an example here.
Yes.
Right? Now, we said in the fiqh, in Islamic law, that if that worshipping is a public one, he has the authority to overlook at it and to overrule it, and to make sure that it's being maintained, very well maintained. Anything is not a public. The Muslim does not have no rule or no authority.
Okay.
Like suppose someone pray with the jama'ah, and after he finished, he went his home. Muslim does not have an authority to send someone to his home, to the home of that person, and make sure that he is praying the sunnah. Because this is between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not a public. This is like to be prayed at his home. Suppose someone would like to pray the sunnah, the 2 rak'ah after dhuhr in the masjid. But it happened that he doesn't want to pray there. He just stayed in the masjid. He has no authority, the Muslim ruler, to say, get up and pray 2 rak'ah. No. Because it is optional to pray it in the masjid or pray fardh at his home. But anything regarding public worshipping, like Eid, Hajj, declaring Ramadan,
5 daily prayers.
5 daily prayers to be established in the mosque, he has the authority to maintain this and to has his authority make sure that they are very well maintained and established.
SubhanAllah. This is really something new to me, that I thought that the ruler is just, his job is just to maintain this. But would be
Just to make it more clear, inshallah, just
Okay.
to you, inshallah ta'ala, and the viewers, you remember that hadith, you know that hadith when the Prophet ﷺ said in many occasions that I would like just to command someone to get some wood and just go and burn on the homes of those who they are
Yes.
not coming to the
Yes.
Jama'ah congregation. He never did that, alayhi salatu
Yes.
right? But he
Yeah.
was saying that I would for those that are not coming,
Mhm.
just to create that feelings among Muslims that it is very important to come and establish this Jama'ah, this prayer, because he knows at that time that there's enough numbers among Muslims to establish the Jama'ah prayer. But even though he was saying that hadith, to create that feelings, that sense, that it is very important to you to make it with the Jama'ah, and don't ever say that because someone is doing that, I'm not going to do that. It's not my job, because sometimes those who they have attended this Jama'ah prayer not be able sometimes to make it because they are sick, they might be maybe old, or they have some other issues. So it has to be like exchanging of establishing, as if that you are making some rotation here. So that hadith does give you that sense. In Muslim Ummah, some kind of rotation has to be played within their life. You come today, don't say I'm not going to come tomorrow because someone is going to come and make that Jama'ah. Come all the time, because you don't know who is going to be like excuse and he will not be able to make it or not.
Is this hukm or this rule, like it's an opinion that upon that the scholar said it's a must on the ruler to do this? It is something that's agreeable among all of them,
Yeah.
or there are different opinions about this? Which will lead me to another question: what type of rules in Sharia?
No, what I have said before about the Muslims' ruler role and duty about maintaining the public worship is unanimous opinion among Muslim scholars. But if you talk about the prayer within the congregation in the mosque, individually, they have different opinions on this one. Not all of them, they said, you must attend the whole 5 times prayer in the masjid. So they have different opinion in this issue. Not the issue of the Muslim ruler have to maintain
I see.
establishing and performing this public worshipping.
Which now I can ask you about the rules of the ahkam, the rules. Is it, there are 2 types of them, like unanimous and those who are, different opinions about them. How we can say this is unanimous and this is have different opinions, and how you categorize this, and who is eligible to give an opinion about this?
Well, this is a big issue, but it's very important. What is the story of having a section of Islamic law? We call it unanimous, clear-cut Islamic issues or Islamic law issues. And we have another section that we call it the branches of the first section, which does make it applicable for different opinions among Muslim scholars. So we have section of unanimous, we call it the fundamental issues in Islam. Like you have to pray 5 times a day. You have to fast 1 month a year. You have, when you pray, you have to recite Al-Quran Al-Kareem. Regardless, this is any verse or Al-Fatiha itself, different issue. You have to make ruku' and sujood. You have to have wudu, ablution, before you go to prayer. These are like unanimous issues in Islamic law. And you have second section, like the branches of these issues. Now, is it must now to recite Al-Fatiha itself, or if you recite any verse from Al-Quran, just take the same duty or work of reciting Al-Fatiha itself? Different opinions among Muslim scholars. Even all of them, they said you have to recite it, but they have different opinions about the result of someone did not recite Al-Fatiha, but he recited some Quran Kareem, like he did recite Al-Asr, Surah Al-Asr, an example. He did not recite Al-Fatiha. Some Muslims, they said if he did that intentionally, He has different status. Someone of them, they said if he did it mistakenly or he forgot to say that, he has different result on it. So they have some difference in this area. But all of them, they agree that he has to recite some of Al-Quran Kareem while he's standing in his prayer. This is like an example about some branches in Islamic law in the section of worshipping. If you go like to the second section of Islamic law, you find the same thing. Some like unanimous Islamic issues, some of like branches to them, some different opinions among Muslim scholars. I would like just to tell the viewers what is the original story of these two sections.
Okay.
We can say very strongly that it did start on his time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not because the Sahaba at that time they were not able to get the clear answer from the Prophet alayhi salam, but it meant to be this way, to make a very clear and strong understanding among the Sahaba, because they are going to carry this message later on to the followers, forward to the second generation, third and fourth, till our time. It is not the interest of this Islamic law to make it one period or cut issue. It is for the interest of the Islamic law to make it these two sections. First section does represent the skeleton of Islam. Does represent the foundation, the pillars of this deen, which without this skeleton or without this foundation and pillars, you cannot have a strong building. You cannot have a human being by himself. So this is something you cannot compromise on it. You cannot just make it half and half. You have to have it in full. But second section, it's like you are beautifying the building and making some kind of extra maybe work on it.
MashaAllah. We would like to continue more, but we don't have much time, unfortunately. Inshallah, please visit us next episode, and we would like to thank Professor Muhammad Naim Saie for being with us today and sharing his knowledge with us. Inshallah, next episode we have more and more to say. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It's more than just coincidence. You look around and see the earth, the moon, the sun and the sky, a beautiful creation of Allah. So how could you deny?
How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar. How can you deny the oneness of Allah? Allahu Akbar.